Hey guys, today we're going to do something a little different. I have Jillian here. She's sort of just going to listen in or maybe ask questions. But a lot of you have been asking on Instagram, like how we make the videos. You've been asking questions. Some of you might even want to make your own videos. Other people are just curious as to how we do it. So I just wanted to do a quick high-level overview maybe of how our process works. So Jillian, I've given her just sort of a list of topics, and then you can fire them at me, and then I'll try my best to answer them. Just make sure you say them nice and loud to the microphone. So,
I don't.
Go ahead. What's the first one here?
Just says types of video and channels.
Types of videos and channels. Okay, so that's the first thing. Which channel are we going to do it for? That's the first thing I have to consider. So we have 3 channels. We have the vlogging channel, that's the easiest in terms of, like, I don't have to write a story. I don't necessarily need props. We just go out and we do something. So, or in this case, it's an informational vlog where we're just giving you information. So, that's Jillian and Addie Life. Then there's Jillian and Addie Laugh, which is our comedy channel. So anything goes on that. It can be horror comedy. It mostly seems to be that way these days. But as long as it's funny, we hope, it goes on Jillian and Addie Laugh channel. And then the third channel is the main channel, the one that used to be Babyteeth4. We just called it Jillian and Addie. That seems to be where our more dramatic stuff goes. And lately it's just been horror, scary videos. That's the intention, at least. So it's gone through a lot of changes over the years. But anyway, we can move on. So what's the next thing? Idea. So every video we do starts with an idea. I will either be watching a movie or a TV show and say, ooh, we could do something like that. But not all mine are imitative ideas. Sometimes I see something like in real life. But other times, like, oh, that's a weird looking radio. I'll do a haunted radio video, or something like that. It could be prop oriented, and we'll get into props later. But whatever the seed of the idea is, it has to interest me. It has to be something that I'm like excited about and say, ooh, we could do a lot of stuff with that idea. So there has to be like a concept usually behind the idea. But other times it can be, oh, everyone's doing this type of video, like everyone's doing an Among Us video. Let's do our version of Among Us. So it can follow trends. Occasionally we do those, but we try not to do it all the time. We just go through phases. But we write down, getting back to ideas, I write down every idea. Even if there are no bad ideas, as they say. So I write down every single idea. Don't think that you won't forget it. Especially if you get a really good idea, you'll be like, oh, this is such a good idea, I'll never forget it. Make sure you write it down. A lot of times those ideas come to you when you're kind of almost half in and out of sleep, like right before you're falling asleep. Sometimes I will have to literally jump up and write down the idea or put it on the computer. So I have a huge list of ideas that I can always turn to. So next.
So props, costumes, and masks.
Props, costumes, and masks. So generally the next thing, once I have an idea, I have to really consider, okay, what am I going to need for this video to make it happen? Now, sometimes I don't need to get anything. Like some videos we've done using literally almost nothing. But a lot of times, and then we tend to go through phases like you need a specific object. Like we had the haunted radio, we had the one with the crow, we've had a book, a blank book. We've had this book, certain things that are prop driven, I'll need a prop. Now, I might also need a costume or a mask. A lot of ours feature monsters, so I will need a very specific costume or mask. So I need to make sure I have that, in order for us to make the video. Sometimes it's frustrating because you might get a really good idea, but you have to wait for an order to come in or something like that. But a lot of times you can make do with what you have on hand. And we do tend to accumulate a lot of stuff. We have some generic like zombie, skeleton, skull, like things like that, spiders. You start accumulating things, but then the more of those things you accumulate, you can start more easily working them into your videos. But you don't need anything. Like I've often said, we could literally make a video just using an empty paper bag. Like one of our biggest videos of the, I think it was 2020, was called Monster Boots. And it was literally just about a pair of shoes that kicks you, or boots that kicks you. And we just had an old pair of boots. So you don't necessarily have to think, oh, I need to buy all this expensive stuff and I need all these great special effects. You know, you can, as long as you have a good idea behind it, you can just move ahead with what you have. But if you want a specific look, like, you know, Freddy Krueger, or if you want a specific thing, then make sure you leave yourself enough time to get those things.
Okay. The next one is locations and scheduling.
Okay, locations and scheduling. So location for us is almost always right here in the house. And a lot of times it's literally right here in this room. Throughout the house, we're lucky enough to have a big house with a lot of rooms, a lot of doors, so I can mix it up and have a lot of locations. Now, we live in this house, so I have to make sure, you know, for our privacy, that we only show, you know, we don't show every single thing all the time. But if I have to think in advance, like if I want to use a specific room, I have to make sure, since we live in this house, I have to make sure it's clean. Like if we want to shoot in the kitchen, I have to make sure there aren't a stack of dirty dishes on the counter. You know, if I want to shoot in the garage, I have to make sure, you know, there's enough space there. And then we also have to consider like privacy as well. So we have to make sure there aren't, you know, things that would compromise our privacy, like addresses, envelopes, that sort of thing. And then what else? Scheduling is we almost always shoot on Saturdays. However, I have to consider scheduling for, like, if we're going to go on a vacation, if the kids have activities they want to complete. So on a specific day, I don't want them to feel tied down to always having to do it. But we generally will shoot for, you know, we have our shooting day. And if we can't make it happen that day, I have to figure out ways around that.
I was also going to add that in terms of location, that you don't need like a big house to do like videos.
Right.
We do a lot of stuff where that's mostly like on the couch or something, and you can write like interesting dialogue and you don't need all that space, but it's nice to have.
Right. Yeah, I think they call those in Hollywood or in television, they call those bottle videos, where everyone's trapped in one room. They do that a lot. It's to save money and stuff. But yeah, it can really inspire your creativity. Like, how many things can I make happen in the same hallway, in the same, you know, so we use the same locations. But yeah, you don't have to feel like, oh, I need all these exotic locations. I need this big house. Like, you can do a lot with very little.
Mm-hmm. So. Next one is writing the story.
Okay, writing the story. So I'm thinking through, I'm always kind of writing the story. After I get the idea, my brain starts working on writing the story. So it's not just sitting down and writing, although I do get to that point. But I really try thinking through the story, and the way I do that is through envisioning it. Like, I literally am watching it, the story happen. Like, you know, if Jillian and Addie are doing a video on, you know, I don't know, a haunted toaster, I have to say, okay, well, how would this start? You know, why would the toaster be haunted? So I ask myself a lot of questions, like what would happen in this video? And then I have to consider what would be interesting about this. Like, some ideas can be interesting, but unless you really execute on them, so I have to think in terms of scenes. And then I start getting an idea of all that, and then it'll be like the day before we shoot, I actually write it all down. I think it's because until I commit it to paper, you know, I always think there's other ideas that will come to me, and I want to leave that open. So I write it all down, and I used to write in a script format. I don't do that now. I just write paragraphs, basically. Here's what happens. If I need dialogue, I will write in the specific dialogue, especially if it's dialogue that moves the story forward and needs to be said a specific way. You're better off writing that down in advance than trying to do it on the fly. So, so I write about 1.5 pages to 2 pages. Sometimes it's as little as a page of just paragraphs describing what's going to happen in the video.
Next is shooting the video.
Shooting the video, okay. So once again, we always shoot our videos in just one day. Unless we have some weird location that I have to go to, then and the weather's looking bad, I might pick up a shot. Like if there's a shot I want in the woods and I know it's supposed to rain on that day, I'll try to get that in advance. But we'll shoot it all in the house, and we always we only shoot for about 90 minutes until we take a break. And it depends. If we're almost done, we might soldier on to the end, but we literally, I think, always take a break. Yeah. And then so the whole shoot is usually done in 3 hours or less. 3 hours even sounds kind of long. Sometimes it's like 2 hours. Yeah. But if we're doing what I call a couch skit, where it's almost always entirely on the couch, those can take even quicker. Like the teen series, like Teen Werewolf, Teen whatever, like where one of them would turn into something. But the shoots, those kind of shoots can be easy now. The way we shoot, I don't hand them a script and they memorize everything. That a lot of times they actually don't even know what we're shooting till the day of unless they ask or they're curious about it. So I will just point the camera at them and I'll say what their line is. Then they just repeat it back. And if they mess up the line, we'll do it again. Or if they don't say it in the right way or with the right emotion, or if there's 50 million things that can go wrong, like a background noise or anything can ruin, a shot. But we'll do it and then we'll just go back and forth. And some days it goes really smooth. Other days you might have a day where you're clearing your throat a lot. There's a lot of little boring things like that can go wrong. We're only, I think, halfway through our list here. So I think we're going to stop right now and we're going to tell you the rest of the things about going to making a video on a future video. If you like this or want to know more about it, tell us on Instagram. And then we will keep things coming. But look for part 2 of this video in the future where we kind of tell you the rest of the things that go into shooting the video and making the videos. So, bye. How'd that go?
Good.
How'd I do?
Good.
I feel like I talked too fast. Did I talk too fast?
You're good.
I have too much energy.